in the history of Sierra Leone, as we are assembled to formally translate the vision of His Excellency, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Madabio, into reality. In 2020, during the 5th session of the reopening of Parliament, His Excellency, with a firm vision and commitment to increase access to higher education, pronounced in promise the establishment of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme. This pronouncement came as a great beacon of hope to many students in Sierra Leone, and we are excited to be part of this launch today. Probably, the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme is one of the greatest strides taken by the government of Sierra Leone to provide access to funds for the pursuit of higher education in Sierra Leone, with direct impact on the human capital development agenda. In the face of economic challenges and adversity, the scheme will provide relief for parents and students with the cost of pursuing higher education, whether at university or at technical level or vocational level. For parents, this scheme will lessen the economic burden, stress, and worries of paying tuition fees for students. For students, this scheme is a blessing to us. It helps us to concentrate on our studies with no stress of being asked out of lectures. And this will definitely increase productivity within the academic system. With this scheme, there is hope for every Sierra Leonean student, whether you are coming from Dudu Kotuma, representing the Far East, Makolo, representing the North, Nyandeong Valley, representing the South, Yonipet, representing the Northwest, or Batos, representing Western area. This scheme caters for everyone, irrespective of the region you belong. Interestingly, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this morning, while sharing the flyers with students of Robe College of the launch of this event, a lot of questions were asked by the students that I want to share with you all. The students asked the following questions. Prezo, will students without connection get this loan? Is there a fair process within the government of Sierra Leone? Don't you think that this loan will just be like the SLG allocation? Is this loan not meant for the sons and daughters of government officials? Will the loan not be based on partisan or regional groups? Critical as these questions are, we must pay keen attention to them, like I reflected on them this morning. Believing in the board, understanding the professionalism of the board and the management of the student loan scheme, this morning I confidently replied my students that this loan scheme is not going to be the usual grant, I have assured the students that this loan allocation is going to be fair and transparent. I will not be based on partisan, tribal, or regional grants. I want to firmly reassure colleague students that this loan is going to be meant for students that meet the requirements and not by partisan, region, tribe, or anything. Even if you have never trusted in my leadership, but trust me on this, that I am on this board to represent your interests. And the board has been doing everything humanly possible as we piloted this scheme to see that students across every region, every university receive this loan. And that is what we'll continue to do. I want to remind everyone present that one of our core values as board members and management of the student loan scheme is professionalism, and it encompasses integrity and equity, and these are values that we uphold. My dear students, this is an opportunity we must embrace. This is an opportunity we must not take lightly. This is an opportunity for us to get educated and pursue our dreams fearlessly. However, I must kindly plead with you, colleague students, that when we take this loan, let it not be the usual Sierra Leonean mentality, quote and unquote, now government money will not be. You must understand that this fund provided to you is a revolving fund, and if you refuse to pay, you have deprived that student from Patema coming to Kobe College to pursue education. You must endeavor to pay. If you don't pay this fund, before posterity catches up with you, I assure you, the Student Loan Scheme Act provides for offenses and you will be pursued, because there are other students that want to be educated like you. So I'm pleading with you all that we take this opportunity highly as it deserves, so that we don't misuse it, so that we can see the full impact of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme. As I conclude, I want on behalf of the students of Sierra Leone to convey our gratitude and most profound thank you to His Excellency retired Julius Madam up to his promise. Once again, we believe in the talk and do slogan. However, I must register my dismay on behalf of the students of Sierra Leone for the absence of His Excellency. Such an occasion required his presence, and the students came here to see His Excellency. I want on behalf of the students again to thank the Minister of Technical and Higher Education and the Deputy Minister. Within a short period, the strides the ministry are taking, we are very much positive that we are going to see transformation within the academic system of Sierra Leone. We surely support you, Madam Minister and Deputy Minister. The students are rooting for you, and we are sure that we will never ever disappoint you. I recall during the inception process of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme, there are other actors that played an integral role. The former ministers of technical and higher education, and I recall the tremendous contributions of Professor Alpha Wuri, whom I call the Minister Emeritus. Thank you, Paul, for giving us this scheme. We appreciate your immense contribution. I want again to thank the board. We have a very fair and credible board that is in charge of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme, and a very dynamic board chair lady, an iron lady for that matter. The board is so dynamic that we cut across every facet, and then we profile solutions, come together, and everyone is on top of his or her game. I must thank the board for the tremendous work. I'm most glad to have the honor to sit with you as a board member. I've learned so much from you. You shaped my perspective every day about life, and I'm honored to be among you. Same to the management and staff of Sloan. You are doing the work for us. We appreciate the work of the CEO and the entire team. On behalf of the students of Sierra Leone, we say a big thank you to the government of Sierra Leone for the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme, and we look forward to the second phase of this project. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Alfred. Very early days, but beckons hope, and it's very reassuring that you encourage beneficiaries of the loan scheme to take it seriously, but to ensure that it's an investment. On that note, I'll now call on Professor Edwin J.J. Momo, who is also a member of the Board of Trustees, but also the chairman for the Conference of Vice Chancellors and Principal, Professor Edwin Momo.
Mr. Chairman, Minister of Planning and Economic Development, and other ministers of state present, honorable members of Parliament, esteemed custodians of our tradition, the revered paramount chiefs, representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies, prospective financiers of the student loan scheme and potential recipients of the same, chairperson and colleagues of the members of the board of the student loan scheme, Board of Trustees, the executive officer and staff of the student loan scheme, chancellors, colleague vice chancellors and principals, distinguished guests, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. I represent my colleague administrators of tertiary education institutions in Sierra Leone in lending our voice to the establishment of such a daunting but laudable initiative of the government of Sierra Leone in the quest for sustainable ways of supporting current students navigate through tertiary education with much financial ease, whilst at the same time making room for future entrance. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, if our knowledge of past experiences helps us in understanding the dynamics of current occurrences, I can safely say that the student loan scheme can be one of the best ways by which funds for higher education can be sequestered and recycled in a more sustainable way. History provides us that before the mid-1980s, students in tertiary institutions did not only enjoy free tuition, but free meals on a 3-square basis. Did I say free? Yes, I did. But was that entirely free? No. These were paid for by the government from export earnings, taxes, and other resources. Although this led to the building of a critical mass of the needed human resource, then possible provision for upcoming candidates in the growing magnitude may have not been considered. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, just when I was entering Jeddah University College then, negotiations for a cafeteria system was concluded. Students had agitated for allowances for meals to be paid directly to their pockets. The slogan was, "With my money in my pocket." With every due respect, courtesy of my seniors here in the room, maybe to name a few, the resident permanent secretary, Mr. Gilbert Cooper, and the Honorable Paramount Chief Asubuku. We then received allowances from scholarships such as the Sierra Leone Government Scholarship, the EEC, the Netherlands, and for some of us from faith-based organizations, the Catholic Scholarship, or the United Methodist Special Grant. With a growing population, especially for those seeking tertiary education, and a depleting state of natural resources depended on for export, are these the most sustainable ways of increasing access? I would say not quite. In recent years, we have seen the EEC, Netherlands, Catholic, UMC, and other forms of scholarships phase out. The government of Sierra Leone introduced the grants and aid as a way of subsidizing students in tertiary education. institutions. Again, the associated challenges cannot be overemphasized here. How much of these could make room for future support? Not quite sure. Administrators of higher education institutions have their fair share of the downsides of such schemes. Periods for reforms of those grants that are usually awarded to over half of the student population. How these institutions have been surviving remains a mystery. And so at the pilot phase of the loan scheme, quite recently, higher education institutions have witnessed an almost real-time payment of fees of students into our accounts. What a beautiful way of having these institutions run their activities with less financial stress. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my colleague administrators, we are excited about having this scheme operate at full throttle. It will not only lessen the financial burden in the long term on the government, but also provide the means for future support. We are excited that once fully operational, institutions will not have to worry about backlog payments of grants. We are therefore thankful to the President, His Excellency Dr. Julius Leone and his government for such a sustainable initiative that will increase access to higher education through the loan scheme. You are assured of our unwavering support to the scheme. Congratulations to all of us, and thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mo. I think you gave a run of history. I think the reason why His Excellency has prioritized access to finance for equitable education and access. I will now call on somebody who's, always with us, who is very supportive of the sector, but also who is here as a demonstration of President Bio's vision to ensure that we are all in this together. Ici Sheku Ahmed Tijan Fasuluku Sonsiema III, I think he's the chairman of the National Council of Parliament Chiefs Radio. Honorable Parliament Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, please allow me to stand on existing protocols as established by you this morning. I have been wondering since I was called upon together with my colleagues to witness this session today. I was wondering what was the reason why we were being invited. I just learned from this small document that I have here with me that we belong to the group of guarantors for eligible creditors to this loan. I'm not here to give a vote, but let me say thank you to the board and trustees of the Sierra Leone loan scheme for trusting the institution that I stand here to represent to be one of the guarantor categories to this loan scheme. And let me also go through the Minister of Development and Economic Planning to thank Mr. President for continuing to favor the trajectory for the human development agenda of his government and that of Sierra Leone. If you have the speaker before me, Professor Momo, and the current permanent secretary, who was also my senior in Jalai University College in the mid-80s, we earned only full-time scholarship, but we were also being paid allowances. I remember my scholarship, which we usually call SLG, was given to me for 8 years. By this, if I may say, I was allowed to repeat every year. My scholarship was still guaranteed, but times have changed. Today we are here talking about the school, a loan scheme for students for postgraduate studies. I thank God I'm still standing here alive to see the transition from full scholarship to cafeteria system to granting aid, and now we are talking about students' loan. It's a novelty, and I think we have to use that opportunity, because for now it might be the only available means of furthering education in this country. I have seen a result of a niece of mine from IPAM, wherein 7 of them had their results released, and 148 were not released because we were not able to pay the full fees. That is a challenge. Those of us that are familiar with the banking loan system, there is an acronym there which is similar or familiar to a well-known alcoholic drink called Campari. And that Campari, each letter in their Campari acronym has its own meaning. The C there stands for the character of the debtor or the person who wants to take the loan. The A, the first A, is the ability of the person to pay the loan. The M is the margin on interest on the loan. The P, the Campari, is the purpose for the loan. And the second A is the amount that is required for the loan. The R there is the repayment of this loan. And finally, the Campari, the insurance or the collateral. Now, I've just realized this is not very different from this trust for the loan scheme is asking for. I don't want to bore you, but I'm here with colleagues from all 14 districts in this country. And if not today, before I conclude, I will want to know from the loan scheme secretariat or the board what will be the conditions and terms for us, the guarantors, if this loan defaulters default on their loans. Because I know to be a guarantor, it has some obligations as well. And I want to agree with the student union vice president here by the Sierra Leonean attitude, I quote, this government money will not pay, unquote. I believe I will not be off my mark to say this thing will be an evolving fund, and the first people will be privileged to benefit from these loans. We have to pay back the loan to ensure continuity. Having said that, I am concerned for two things again on this small document that I have. The first one is on the eligibility. The last bullet point, which talks about to demonstrate the ability to pay the loan with its time specified, and to also go to the benefit of the loan. Mr. Chairman, the second bullet point, long repayment period. I want to go to Dr. Alpha Ore and the Minister of Economic Planning that if you give loans to people who are expected to pay back, and those people are not employed at the end of the day, I don't know how are they going to repay some of these loans. It's a general appeal I want to make here on behalf of all the beneficiaries of this loan, that until this economy improves, jobs are created by both the private sector and the government. I don't want to sound here like a soothsayer, but jobs have to be created to enable these students to be able to pay these loans. And that's why I'm appealing not only for the category of local authorities, all of us that fall within the categories of guarantors have to be told or have to be informed what are our obligations. Otherwise, we may be taking the indirect effect of loans that we did not take in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Paramount Chief. I think you were part of the sponsors of the Student Loan Scheme Fund in Parliament. But I think valid concerns you have flagged, but I can assure you that lessons have been learned, from other countries. And I think the loan scheme will be tried and tested, but also it's evident enough to note that we're all stakeholders to make the loan scheme work for our children. I'll now at this stage call on Mr. Nana Kwaku Ageyebua, the CEO for the Student Loan Trust Fund, Ghana, and Chairman of AIFA. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May you permit me to stand on the protocols already established. Great pleasure and honor to be part of this historic launch of the Sierra Leone Students' Loan Scheme today. With the launch of this loan scheme, I see the break of a new dawn. The torch of hope has been lit, and tertiary education is now within the reach of hundreds of thousands of Sierra Leonean students who hitherto would have missed the golden opportunity to access higher education, ambitions, and dreams. The crucial role and importance of education can never be underestimated in our contemporary times. As we all know, education is a basic human right and an indispensable tool for national development. Tertiary education is especially critical since it provides the skilled workforce that is needed to run our industries, create employment, and spearhead our drive towards industrialization and economic growth in a fiercely competitive global environment. In the recent annual meeting and conference of the Association of African Higher Education Financing Agencies, AHIFA, held in Namibia, I was so delighted when I had the opportunity, together with the president of AHIFA, to present the certificate of membership to Sierra Leone. This is because for the past 15 years of AHIFA's establishment, Ghana was the only West African country in the association. Mr. Chairman, I'm excited to be part of the success story we are witnessing today. The Student Loan Trust Fund of Ghana had the opportunity of hosting delegates of the Sierra Leone education team on steady visit in 2018, and since then, our collective efforts have led to realization of the establishment of the loan scheme here in Sierra Leone. It is an undeniable fact that access to education, particularly at the tertiary level, is touted to be one of the most powerful instruments for reducing poverty and inequalities. It also lays the foundation for economic growth and development in most countries across the world. As we are all aware, there are vast disparities when it comes to access to tertiary education. Many brilliant but needy students have too often found their academic careers cut short due to lack of access to financial resources. Such citizens lose the opportunity to explore their potential to the fullest, thereby leaving the individual, the family, and society poorer. Most initiatives and interventions, whether by government or NGOs, aim at achieving greater access and equity for disadvantaged groups in education, are targeted at basic education with very few national interventions for the tertiary sector. Several factors have led to greater disparity in access to higher education in most countries, including Ghana and Sierra Leone. These include the ever-increasing demand for higher education by citizens, inadequate infrastructure, increased cost of tuition, and competing demands for scarce government resources. Honorable Chief Minister, the theme for this launch, access to higher education through student loan, is apt, considering government of Sierra Leone's commitment of not leaving anyone behind in pursuit of higher education. The cost of higher education and its related disparity brought about a paradigm shift in education financing. For instance, in Ghana, financing of tertiary education has evolved from book loans, tuition fees, subsidies, grants, cost sharing, and finally, student loan scheme. Since its inception till date, over 232,000 students have benefited from the student loan scheme in Ghana. Currently, there are 110 accredited private and public tertiary institutions on the scheme. The student loan scheme is a global higher education financing phenomenon, evident in both developing and developed countries. Scarce resources for public expenditure has called for the need for cost-sharing mechanism by which more students can access and participate in higher education. Proactive strategies are therefore to be put in place to diversify the sources of financing student loan to enable the Sierra Leone loan scheme cater for the expected increase in loan application numbers in the near future. Over the period, Ghana's Student Loan Trust Fund has remarkably enhanced its operations, such as automation of its loan application processes, as well as introduction of efficient and effective ways of identifying and tracking borrowers through the use of a national ID card. As a new loan scheme, it is important to explore innovative ways of awareness creation through sensitization and public education about the existence and benefits of the loan scheme. I believe with Ghana as a sister agency, the Sierra Leone team has a rich experience they can draw lessons from. A critical element for the sustainability of this scheme is when beneficiaries of the loan repay their loans promptly when they are due. On this path, the Sierra Leone scheme can implement policies and strategies that make the student loan repayment process as convenient and easily accessible to borrowers. These measures include the use of different modes of repayment, variety of partner banks, introduction of electronic payment platforms, use of credit reference bureau, data sharing with relevant institutions, and diaspora loan recovery policy. It is my fervent hope that with the support of all and sundry, the Sierra Leone team will not renege on its effort to build a robust sustainable loan scheme which will create the opportunity for all willing Sierra Leoneans to access tertiary education and improve the human resource base of the country. Mr. Chairman, the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 4, calls for inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. Target 4.3 states that by 2030, countries should provide equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and higher education, including university. Let us put our hands on deck to work diligently towards the achievement of this goal for our beloved country. In conclusion, I would like to assure the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme that Student Loan Trust Fund Ghana will be right there by our side as we take steps to provide financial assistance to needy Sierra Leone students. Finally, I would like to commend the government for the significant role, its vision and fortitude in making this student loan scheme a reality. Thank you for your attention, and God bless our motherland, Sierra Leone and Ghana.
Thank you, Nana Kwaku, for just shedding some light on the benefits of the student loan scheme and elucidating on the experience in Ghana. Certainly, education is an equalizer. It empowers youth and is a key driver for sustainable development. On this note, I think it's about time, much as he wouldn't like to, but I think we have probably a old school way. I hope I will not be drilled on this occasion, but I have to invite Professor Alpha Tijanuri, who is tired but not retired, and I think we still benefiting from his immense experience. Professor Alpha Tijanuri, Presidential Advisor, Human Capital Development, my own boss.
Well, this is supposed to be a joyous day. It is supposed to be a day when each and every one of us should really be very happy. If you are a parent, then your child or ward would eventually benefit from this scheme. If you are about to graduate from college, then it is said the pilot phase would be for those in master's and PhD level. If you are a current student, then you know when the scheme is expanded, you will benefit from it. Therefore, give yourself a very, very big hand for being here to be part of the scheme. You know, in 1996, when I initially served as Minister of Education, the resident permanent secretary was my advisor. He was there in the student section. And that was when he advised me that it is time we expand the number of granting aid by reducing the number of, the allowances, the quantum of cash who give us allowances to each student. Today, we have well over 4,000 students benefiting from granting aid. Let us give the resident permanent secretary a big hand. You know, His Excellency the President is putting things together like a jigsaw. Consider the Ministry of Health has clearly highlighted that there is a reduction of 60% of maternal deaths as a childbirth. Those people who will now be young ones that will intend to grow, the next step has to be their nutritional status. That has been reduced by 20% with regards to stunting. The next step has to be your education and training. That is why you see the ministers of basic education here, That is why we have the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education launching this scheme. Education without skills, you will not be able to get jobs. Without the jobs, you will not be able to pay for your loan. That is why His Excellency, one of his 5 key markers, said he would want to create 500,000 jobs. I think we deserve to give a very big hand to His Excellency the President for integrating the growth of Sierra Leone. You know, I spent some time in promulgating the loan scheme through Parliament. But the key issue about the loan scheme is to take it through the finishing line. And I think the current minister, Haja Ramatoulaye Buri, has shown her steadfastness in getting all of us here this morning. A very big hand to Haja. So the message to His Excellency the President, through the Minister of Planning, representing His Excellency the President, is that the Secretariat is ready, is that the Chair and the head of the team, Mr. Amara, are ready for us to be able not only to get the academic provisions, but also to be able to get the skills. Why do we say we are ready? His Excellency the President supported me then in creating 3 institutions. The Milton Magai College of Education and Technology was transformed to the Milton Magai Technical University. Eastern Polytechnic was transformed to Eastern Technical University. Today we have the Chancellor here of Kono University of Science and Technology, which is being built as I speak. You would say, how do you support those institutions? Milton Magai will tell you that there's a 20 million investment as I speak with regards to infrastructure and equipping that institution. There's an 18 million investment in ETU to do the same. There is a 32 million investment for Kono University. So, a big hand to His Excellency. Those institutions require people. People on 2 levels. Those that will teach and train, and the students that will go in. So when I hear Professor Edwin talking, and I see Professor Koroma here, I feel rest assured that reasonably we cannot get the personnel to teach if we cannot pay and expand the number of lecturers we can get. Government is a bit fatigued now to continue to give subvention to be able to open that out. We cannot continue to give grant in aid. The last time I was there, we did 3,700. It is now time we'll go for a loan. The loan would be for fees, if you so desire. The loan can be for living expenses. The loan could also be for computer exposure. The loan could be for transportation. What we want is that now free quality school education has ensured 250,000 people are taking the WASC. What we want is that now we are certain that people are passing science, English, maths, is to ensure you don't just go to college and do not get the quality you need. Is to ensure when you get to any higher education institution, including skills and vocational entities, that if they do not have the resources, government will support you to be able to do so. It cannot be better at all. I think I would have loved to become a student again. But I was a student in 1973. And now my legs are giving up. And I feel comfortable that we have a team in the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education that will take this to the finishing line. I believe His Excellency has now put a package together that is talking about from birth through nutrition, through education, skills, and support to those that may not have the resources to acquire the skills such that you can get the job. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Professor Uri. I think it's really about investment, but sustainable finance. We cannot continue to do things the way we are. It's just not on, it's just not sustainable. At this moment, permit me, distinguished guests, to invite the Honorable Minister, Dr. Haja Ramatulai Uri, to make her statement. Dr. Uri, as you've all heard, she's hit the ground running, and we are all beginning to see the successes. Dr. Haja Ramatulai Uri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the High Table, colleague ministers present, vice chancellors and principals and administrative heads of our universities, council of paramount chiefs, our dynamic student body, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am deeply honored to address you today and reflect on the remarkable strides made in the education sector, particularly in the realm of access to higher education. This moment stands as a testament to our collective dedication to providing quality education and expanding learning opportunities for all Sierra Leoneans. Our journey commences with a foundational document, the Constitution of Sierra Leone, which illuminates our nation's principles and gives a clear mandate for every government in power. And that mandate is to ensure the provision of quality education, foster conducive learning environment, and facilitate the financing of higher education. This constitutional directive has guided our educational endeavors, lightening the path towards progress. Successive governments have heeded this call by establishing more tertiary education institutions, and this recognizes the pivotal role that these institutions play in building our nation's human capital. We're also very familiar with the Granting Aid Scheme, which was designed to remove the financial barrier and improve inclusivity. At this point in time, the Granting Aid Scheme has served its purpose and has provided valuable insights into financing access to higher education. But what we currently need as a country is a way of financing access to higher and technical education in a sustainable manner, ensuring that we build upon the gains of the free quality school education, amongst other things. Accordingly, a transformative journey started in 2018 when His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio announced a visionary move, the establishment of a student loan scheme. And this was a means to sustainably finance access to higher education in Sierra Leone. This announcement was a testament to His Excellency's unwavering commitment and also the Sierra Leone People's Party's dedication to the promises outlined in our manifesto. The 2018 announcement of the student loan scheme by His Excellency President Bio was historic, cementing this administration's commitment to equitable education financing. Its subsequent passage into law in 2021 was a milestone, further solidifying President Bio's dedication to this national endeavor. And today, we stand on the precipice of a new era of education financing thanks to his visionary leadership. The next story in this journey was the establishment of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme Secretariat. And this was achieved under the leadership of the former Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Professor Alpha Tijanui, who's also currently serving as His Excellency for Human Capital Development. Having a functioning secretariat led to the successful execution of the pilot scheme, which has benefited a number of postgraduate students, as we heard from the chair lady this morning, at master's and PhD level. Fund recovery is underway to finance more applicants, validating the sustainability of this model with the ultimate goal of making it self-revolving. The 2024 Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme budget broadens its reach to undergraduate and also technical and vocational education. This will widen access gradually and significantly. And as we scale up gradually, this will be informed by lessons learned from the pilot and also from my experience of implementing the Granting Aid scheme. And in the interest of ensuring that the voices of students are represented in the decision-making table, we have the student body represented on the Board of Trustees, together with relevant professionals whose expertise, experience, and insights can only add value to the scheme. I'd like to commend the board for joining the board and secretariat for joining the Association of African Higher Education Financing Agencies. This ensures that the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme is now part of the continental conversation on education financing. This recognition underscores our commitment to higher education financing on the continental stage. This also creates a knowledge-sharing platform for the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme to gain valuable insights from other countries in the region and also share our experience. I congratulate and extend heartfelt gratitude to the board and secretariat whose diligence has brought this ambitious initiative to fruition. Your relentless efforts have been instrumental in realizing this dream. Our government remains unwavering in its commitment to this cause, recognizing the immense potential it holds for the future of our nation. I also want to thank those who have worked behind the scenes to create a digital platform for the loan scheme to operate on, and this will promote transparency, accountability, and efficiency. To our students, our potential beneficiaries, our valuable stakeholders, I want to encourage you to own this scheme and play your part to ensure that this scheme is sustained and create a positive ripple effect in the space. President Bio's foresight in investing in the loan scheme has yielded dividends, positioning us on a pathway towards a viable mechanism for financing high. His belief in this initiative perfectly aligns with the government's overarching goal of enhancing human capital development. And the tangible results of this investment are becoming increasingly evident. I also want to touch on the area of employability. We're aware of the potential risks that this can pose on timely repayment of the loan. I would also like to remind you of the government's Big Five, of which two pillars are very relevant to why we're here today: human capital development and the youth employment scheme that we've already heard from Professor Wui, wherein the government is committed to providing 500,000 jobs to our young people over the next 5 years. This has to be a concerted effort, and we will leverage on public-private partnerships to push forward. We will also foster entrepreneurship skills in our young people whilst they're studying, empowering them to become future employers. And collectively, these efforts will ensure that socio-economic development of our beloved country stays on an upward trajectory. Ladies and gentlemen, as we launch this scheme, this moment signifies a milestone in our journey of revolutionizing higher education financing in Syracuse development. Thank you, and let us embark on this transformative journey together and increase access to higher and technical education.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. How are we doing? I guess we're doing all right. Yeah? So it hasn't been just an ordinary launch. I think it's been a moment of inspiring hope. But also, when you had the Honorable Minister speak, it's about trying to ensure quality, opportunities for all, delivering on our mandate as the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education with an offshoot of new universities and to drive technical vocational education and training for skills, but more importantly, to ensure we deliver on President Bill's big 5 game changes. At this stage, it's about time to call on our keynote speaker, who is standing instead for His Excellency retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Malavio, Madame Kenye Bali.
Mr. Chairman, Minister of Technical and Higher Education, the Presidential Advisor on Human Capital Development, but I prefer the other title, Minister Emeritus. I stand on all existing protocols to save time. But ladies and gentlemen, as the chairman stated, I stand here today representing the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, retired Brigadier General Dr. Julius Malavio, who, due to the significance of the occasion, wanted to be here today, but had to, at very short notice, attend another pressing engagement. I want to assure all of you, and especially the young student representative of the board, that this doesn't mean that the President deems this occasion of lesser importance. In fact, he did want to be here today, and he said I should extend his apologies and wishes you all the best. Distinguished guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, today we welcome yet another milestone that heralds a quantum leap towards realizing the government's goal to improve the human capital development of Sierra Leone. This day will no doubt go down in the annals of history. And because of this, it's not only a pleasure, but a distinct honor for me to witness and participate in today's event, where we will formally launch the Sierra Leone Students' Loan Scheme, Sloan SL. It was in 2018, as mentioned by previous speakers, during the 5th session of the reopening of the House of Parliament of Sierra Leone, that President Dr. Julius Malavio introduced Sierra Leone to the bold initiative of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme. In 2020, key government institutions led by the Ministries of Finance and Technical and Higher Education set up a steering committee with the following mandate: to design and validate for the establishment of a student loan scheme, to design and validate a policy for the establishment of a student loan scheme targeting Sierra Leonean students, pursuing higher and tertiary education. To translate the policy into a statutory instrument for approval in the Sierra Leone House of Parliament and for presidential assent. To set up a secretariat and implement a pilot, and to popularize and engage the citizens and pertinent stakeholders on a sustained implementation of the loan scheme. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, since then to now, we can proudly say that the results speak for themselves. On the 2nd of November 2021, the Sierra Leone Students' Loan Scheme Act was passed in the Sierra Leone House of Parliament. In December 2021, President Dr. Julius Maada Bio signed the act into law. In 2021, a chief executive officer was appointed by His Excellency the President, together with the partial recruitment of the staff for the Secretariat. Since November 2021, the Sierra Leone Students' Loan Scheme Board of Trustees is fully functional. The Sierra Leone Students' Loan Scheme has successfully piloted a loan disbursement of 3.9 million new loans in loans to 168 Sierra Leonean postgraduate students, the majority of which of them are pursuing their masters and their PhDs. The statistics also indicate a generous 30% participation of our female students. I think we should applaud for this. The Secretariat also experienced a recovery that is encouraging, given that it is in its first phase of implementation. Further, ladies and gentlemen, I am also informed that the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme is now a member of the Association of African Higher Education Financing Agencies. At this critical juncture of the strategic positioning of our nation and its people, it is of utmost significance to confront directly the 5 primary endeavors aimed at fostering an inclusive and prosperous Sierra Leone, as well as ensuring swift and enduring transformation. These 5 primary endeavors, which we refer to as the 5 big game changers, some of which have already been mentioned. Feeds Alone is the flagship initiative. Human development that we've heard so much about, under which this loan scheme falls. The third identified game changer, the Youth Employment Scheme, which has already been mentioned, and as the Minister indicated, it is the aim of the government through this scheme to create 500,000 jobs, both in the public and providing the enabling environment for the private sector. And these jobs will be quality jobs for which I am sure many of the graduates will be able to secure employment. So I think that maybe puts to rest the concern of the Parliament. And this will be over the lifespan of our medium-term development plan. Chief, this will be over the lifespan of our medium-term development plan. Another area is technology and infrastructure. This will also impact on the education sector. And also, finally, last but not least, the revamping of the public service. This will include the ministries of education, both ministries of education and related agencies, with an emphasis on delivery, efficiency, and professionalism, for which I think This scheme has already demonstrated, and I believe that it will carry on in this manner with the individuals that I see at the helm. So, what does this mean to Sierra Leone and higher education financing? The agency needs to recognize, firstly, an emerging synergy between technology and the current methods or the current models of loan schemes, and understand how this synergy will profoundly skilled and adaptable, and must recognize that higher education financing is faced with the challenge of a burgeoning population, fluctuations in GDP, shifts in policies, financial sector reform, and technology advancements. As a government and citizens, we must support the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme to consolidate the gains made and improve on the ongoing pilots. We need to transform our university landscape with the proliferation of private universities side by side with public ones, which means that higher education financing must be resilient and adaptive. We must encourage ourselves to adapt to emerging ways to finance higher education and embrace new initiatives as part of our development journey. We must appeal to our private and other non-governmental institutions and partners to see our efforts as participating in our own development process, but by providing the seed money and brainstorming revenue generation streams that will enhance sustainability and do the needful to assist whichever way that is germane to this worthy endeavor. Finally, we must view this as a private and public partnership that will yield the necessary dividend that we can all be proud of. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, let me extend profound thanks to the Ministries of Finance and Technical and Higher Education, the Board and Secretariat of Sloan SL, other government institutions that have been represented on the Board of Trustees, the Sierra Leone House of Parliament, the Paramount Chiefs, civil society organizations, Interreligious Council, heads of management and administration of higher education institutions, and the student body for your support to the process that has brought this idea to reality. Thank you to our first set of student borrowers who have the faith and the trust in government to loan you money for your postgraduate pursuits. I want to assure you all that our government's goal is to cover all Sierra Leoneans that want to pursue higher education. But a journey of 1,000 miles, they said, must begin with the first step. And we have taken the first step and look forward to greater things. Let us muster the strength and the resiliency of Sierra Leone to support to the fullest of our ability the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme. Your efforts as a board, secretariat, and staff have been recorded this day. And finally, I think I did say finally, but finally because I still have to launch the scheme, quoting the student representative on the board this morning, who said that there is hope for students. As I proudly launched the Sierra Leone Students Loan Scheme as a leading higher education financing institution in Sierra Leone, contributing to the vision of the President and the aspirations of the people of this nation, I can confidently say that there is hope for our beloved nation, Sierra Leone. I thank you.
The applause was not loud enough. We all know how good the loan scheme can be. You know, when the keynote speaker speaks, need I say more? No. But I think, again, let's give a round of applause. It's now time to say thank you, the vote of thanks. And appreciation, according to Margaret Cousins, says appreciation can make a day, even change a life. Your willingness to put it all into words is all that is necessary. It is now time for the only CEO of the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, Paul Hammer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam Keynote Speaker, Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Haja Malawuri, your deputy, other ministers of government present here. Let me continue on existing protocols already established by the chair. To first and foremost say a very big thanks to God for His grace and His strength. Fools multiply when wise men are silent. Fools multiply when wise men are silent. This is one thought-provoking quote of Madiba Nelson Mandela amongst many that has always stood out for me. It highlights a crucial truth about human behavior. It suggests that when those who possess knowledge or experience remain quiet, ignorant or foolish individuals tend to become more prominent and influential. In my humble assessment, Mr. Chair, the Students' Loan Scheme is perhaps one of the loudest statements His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Malabio, has made when we consider the milestone achievements he has accomplished for Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans since he assumed governance of this great nation. It is this singular conviction that has kept me going, even when one's faith is almost vanquished. As a famous sage once said, my faith did not remove the pain, but it got me through the pain. Trusting God did not diminish or vanquish the anguish, but it enabled me to endure it. I want to thank His Excellency the President for his faith in this great initiative and my appointment to steer the ship. I do not take this for granted. I'm here to recommit myself again to this assignment. I want to assure His Excellency and members of government, especially our minister here and the chair and board of trustees, that your confidence is not misplaced. I want to thank the chairman of the board of trustees, Mrs. Sita Aisata Kaikai, and all the members of the board of trustees of Sloan SL for your tremendous support. I want to join Madam Chair in thanking unsung heroes of this worthy cause. You know yourselves. I want to thank the entire Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, Management and Leadership, especially the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Gilbert Cooper, the Chief Technical and Higher Education Officer, Dr. Josephus Brimer, for your tireless efforts, especially during our journey through Parliament. I want to thank the members of Parliament, especially the leader of government business, who unfortunately is out of the country, my brother, Mr. Matthew Sanyuma, for his help and guidance that helped me evade many political and non-political landmines. To Honorable Mario Conte and the colleagues at the House of Parliament Committee on Education, your indefatigable efforts towards this project has always been consistent. I want to thank the leadership of the Ministry of Finance, especially a member of this board who also is the Deputy Budget Director at the Ministry of Finance, the elegant Dr. Ailara Madi, who has never ceased. Please put your hands together for this woman. She has never ceased. As I speak, Ministry of Finance is at Family Kingdom deciding the fate of MBAs, and she still flew in, hoping to go back to that meeting to continue to advocate for the loan scheme. Let me thank the great staff of Sloan SL. I know the chair has asked you to stand and be recognized, but as your CEO, I want to ask you again to please stand and be recognized. All the staff of Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme, wherever you are, please stand. Please have a seat. We know the hurdles we have gone through up to this point, and I want to assure you that if I were to choose again, I will not falter a bit, because I know you have what it takes. So I really want to thank you very much for your friendship, your support for the scheme, the strides you've made for us to join AIFA, and the resources you've provided through the Ghana Student Loan Scheme or Trust Fund. Nana, thank you very much. My most honorable Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Haja Rahmatullah Uri, I feel so assured against the backdrop of your affability and humility. You know, these are virtues that are quickly dissipating in our leadership cadres in Sierra Leone, unfortunately, at a very fast rate. But you are a breath of fresh air, and I am very grateful to you. To my dear friend and colleague, Mr. Sajo Aziz Kamara, you have not changed a bit. I still recall our college days, and your office has not changed you. You have always opened your office and have provided a lot of guidance that has helped us. Please forgive me. Before I say this, let me ask you all to please give a round of applause for the paramount chiefs who are present here. At a very short notice, the representation is very, very welcoming and comforting. Your presence here makes me feel very assured that we will do well as a scheme. Forgive me if I don't mention your name, but please indulge me to say thanks to my beloved wife, Wow Veronica Amara, who is not here, but my mother-in-law is here. You know, one thing I've learned from Nana is that when your wife is not around, make your mother-in-law your friend. I want to thank my two kids who are here. I took excuse for them to come out of school to be here today. Thank you very much. Finally, let me thank all the stakeholders who have done well to bring us to this level. I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank everybody for you being here today. There are other engagements that you will have been in, but you chose to be here because you know what this means for everybody, for this nation. I want to once more say a very big thank you. God bless you all. God bless Sierra Leone. Long live Student Loan Scheme. Long live Sierra Leone, the land that we love. Thank you very much.